Hi, welcome to L&M Show. Today we're here with Emily Claudianos running for Prime Minister. Hi, Emily.
Hi.
We just have a few questions to ask you.
Okay.
What's your opinion on medical marijuana?
Well, my opinion on medical marijuana is I don't think we should really touch the law because, well, yeah, it makes people feel good, like, for medical purposes, like, to relieve pain, but I don't think that we should, like, get rid of it or anything, because I don't think we should legalize it at all, because I don't think society should just be running around with drugs in their system just for fun.
Yeah.
I don't think it's okay to just be like that.
Okay, well, what are your opinions towards gay marriage?
I think it should be legal. I don't see why not. It's falling in love. You don't really pick who you fall in love, right?
Yeah.
You're born with it. You can't. It's not choice. Even if it is, there's no problem with it. So.
Why aren't teachers allowed to substitute once they've been retired?
Well, once a teacher retires, they substitute, right? But I think that younger teachers could use more experience. So, like, teachers are taking jobs away from the younger people, so they should just retire. Because right now we have way too many teachers. So if the teachers that are retired just don't substitute, then we can just have the young teachers substitute and have more experience and become teachers. So.
Oh, okay. Why shouldn't CCOs be able to make more than $150,000?
Well, it's public CEOs because, like, of hospitals and such.
Oh.
They have, they can make, over $1 million, right, just the CEO of the company, but it should go to either the hospital to improve the company, and, to not have, as tight of a budget, or it could just go to the economy to help that make better instead of just them getting all of that money, because I don't think anyone really works hard enough to get, over $1 million a year.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
How do you feel about abolishing the Senate?
I don't think we should abolish the Senate, however, I do think we should reform it. Because, there should be a limit of only 2 or 3 senates per province, because I think every province should get a say, to get their opinion told and then go, because it passes the law.
Okay, with those 2 or 3 senates, would you still put a cap on their spending
Yes,
money?
I'd definitely put a cap. I'd put a cap, they have, their benefits, I would only put on business expenses, we're only covered 20%. Any other than that, because they should know where the budget is.
Yeah.
So other than anything else than that comes from their pocket, that's it.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming on the show today.
Vote Emily Claudianos for Prime Minister.
We're here with Graydon Sinden today from the NPP party. Hello, Graydon.
Hello.
We just had a few questions to ask you.
All right.
If a natural disaster were to happen, how would you handle it?
What kind of natural disaster are we talking about?
Hurricanes?
A hurricane? Well, you definitely want to bring in the Red Cross.
Yeah.
Make sure that they brought in lots of fundraising for all the people that were going through tough times with their houses being completely destroyed. And you would also want to bring in lots of rescue teams to rescue all the people that are, being taken over by water. And you want to you want to evacuate as many people as possible to save as many lives as possible so that Canada stays a great nation.
That's a good answer. Why would you increase the tax for the rich but lower it for the poor?
Well, I would like to increase the tax for the rich because the rich can obviously afford to pay higher taxes because they're making so much money and they can afford the necessities of life, whereas the poor are already struggling to pay for things like shelter and food and water. So I think that I should bring down their taxes so that everybody can live and support their own families.
Okay, well, but why don't you just lower the taxes in general then?
Because if I just lower the taxes in general, then I won't bring as much money to keep the education for schools down, so that not as many people will have free educations.
Okay, since you want to abolish the senator, what would you put the money savings towards?
I would use the money from abolishing the Senate to post-secondary education for universities, colleges, and really anything that anybody wants to go into after high school, just so that more people can afford to get into universities, so that we can get all people into education, into the workforce with good jobs.
That's very important. What are you willing to do to help low-income families?
I'm going to lower the taxes for them and also abolish the Senate so that they can get cheaper educations and so they can afford food, water, and everything else that they're going to need to support their families and so they can get their children special presence and toys.
What are your opinions on medical marijuana?
I believe that people that need the medical marijuana should be getting it from the government and getting it supplied through people that actually know what they're doing, rather than spending all the money and giving it to like drug dealers, and so that they can just go and sell the medical marijuana and not actually have like legitimate reasons for it. So if you should have to fill a form and send it to the government, and we'll send you the amount that you need, rather than just having random marijuana out on the streets.
That's very good opinion. I agree with that. So what are your opinions towards gay marriage?
I believe that no matter who you like, or what gender you are and what gender you like, you should be able to live happily with whoever you feel most comfortable with. It really isn't any of my business who you want to marry.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
You're very welcome. I had a great time on the show.
Okay.
Vote Reagan Sinden for Prime Minister! Vote Reagan Sinden for Prime Minister! Woo!
Vote Graydon for Prime Minister.
Hi, we're here today with Lisa Clausen from the LLE Party, running for Prime Minister. Hi, Lisa.
Hello.
We have some questions to ask you.
Great.
If you make dental care free, won't dentists lose money?
Well, no, the government will be paying for it, and they will be using the money that they save from getting the welfare reformation. So they will still be getting the same amount paid, but the government will be paying it instead of the citizens.
Okay, so the dentist will still make this same
Yes.
amount of money?
Yeah.
Okay. If you lower the cost on fruits and vegetables, won't it cost more to import them than what they're worth?
No, the lowering cost will be at the grocery store's expenses. So
Okay.
the grocery store will not be getting as much profit off of fruits and vegetables as they would normally. I have kind of thought about it, and I think that they will be getting 50% less than what they originally make off of fruits and vegetables, but the farmers will still be paid the same, and importing needs to still be paid. So I have decided that grocery stores will still make money off of fruits and vegetables, and they won't lose money as a grocery store because of all the rest of the products. So
Oh, okay. And I do think that is a good idea, lowering the prices on fruits and vegetables, because they are a little bit overpriced. How do you feel about abolishing the senator?
I don't completely agree with abolishing the Senates. Only I know because I know that they don't follow rules and they get a lot of money out of taxpayers, and I don't agree with that, because the citizens of Canada should be able to enjoy what they earn. So I don't think they should be paying it all to the government to pay people who sometimes don't really do anything. So I think that each province should only get 2 senates to
Okay.
represent their province. So, because I do agree that the provinces should be represented by someone or 2 people. So I think that there should only be 2 senates per province to represent their provinces and help make laws.
Okay, so would you kind of put a cap on the spending?
Well, yes,
Yeah.
I think that they should still have to pay taxes because of the amount of money that they are making.
Okay.
It's just, they should be needed to pay taxes too also.
Yeah. So, what are your opinions on medical marijuana?
I realize that a lot of people who have medical marijuana slips abuse it greatly.
Yes.
I do realize that, but I do know that some people need it.
Yeah.
So I think that the medicinal marijuana whole thing should be monitored a bit better.
Okay.
And if there is any confusion, or if somebody is known to abuse the medical marijuana, should be taken off and not allowed to use it anymore.
What are your opinions towards gay marriage?
I am totally for it. could care less. Some people like vegetables, some people like fruits. I like fruits. If you like vegetables, I'm not gonna say it's illegal for you to like
Yeah.
vegetables. So if a girl likes a girl, go ahead. If a guy likes a guy, go ahead. If a girl likes a guy, you know, it shouldn't be my say who you spend the rest of your life with or who you like or what you prefer. It's your own choice as long as it's not hurting anybody else.
Okay, one last question. If a natural disaster were to happen, how would you handle it?
Well, it would obviously have, I would like,
Let's just say
it
a
depends.
hurricane.
Okay, a hurricane. So, well, it would probably affect mostly the coastal provinces. So,
Yeah.
and as Canada, we are all united. So I do think that, like, certain people from every province should help. Like, I think that, like, Canadians will be willing also to help their fellow provinces.
Yeah.
So I think that if something happened, repairing everything wouldn't really be a problem, like with getting help, because Canadians, I think, are pretty helpful people. The money would probably be a bit more of a concern, and with certain cutbacks, like the senates
Yes.
being cut, like cutting back the senates, cutting back the welfare usage for those who don't actually need it and are just too lazy to go look for a job. I think that saving money, I know it won't be easy, but saving money as a government
Okay.
and for Canada's, you know, future problems like a natural disaster, and that's how I would handle it.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. Going back to that welfare thing, what would you cut on it?
Well, as I had stated before, I think that welfare users and applicants should be a lot better monitored, and I have decided for them to get checked 3 times a year to see if they are looking for a job, and welfare will only be provided to those who are looking for a job, or say if they have, you know, they pick fruits in the summer or something, so if their income is that low, to get help from the government. But I don't think that if someone is not looking for a job, not even trying, that I don't think they should be getting welfare, because they're just getting paid for nothing by the government, and the government needs that money to pay for dental care, which people need.
Yes.
Like, that is like an essential for, like, to have clean mouth, not only that, but like healthier body. And also, if a natural disaster does occur, we need that savings to go forth.
Yeah. Well, you have stated some valid points, and I'd like to thank you for coming on the show with us
Thank you.
today.
And don't forget to smile.
Hi, we're here today with Jordan White, who's running for Prime Minister. Hello, Jordan. We just have a few questions to ask you.
Okay.
What is your opinion towards gay marriage?
I feel as if it should be approved everywhere, and it's everyone's sexuality. Can't say the word. And it should be their choice if they want to be that way.
Okay, well, what are your opinions towards medical marijuana?
You know, I feel if the patient needs it to feel no pain, it should be provided.
What if someone gets hurt during the motocross? Will you cover the medical expenses?
Well. This is mainly because it's an optional course, so they got to know when you apply for this course that there is some risk during it. But there will be insurance provided at a low cost.
Okay. Why would you lower the drinking age to 16?
Because I feel if 16-year-olds are quite mature, then they should be able to handle that.
So does that mean that 16-year-olds will be able to buy alcohol too? Or?
Yes.
Yeah? Oh. How will people benefit from the motocross course?
Well, it's actually one of the top physically demanding sports, so it keeps the person in physical shape.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us today.
Vote Jordan White for Prime Minister!
Hi, we're here today with Keenan Brunclose from the Best Party. Hi, Keenan.
Hello, Lauren.
I just have a few questions to ask you.
Okay.
Why would you lower the voting age to 16?
I would lower the voting age to 16 because 16-year-olds have taken or are currently taking the mandatory civics course in high school, which means they're getting taught about government, and it's a good time to get them to start voting so that they'll continue voting throughout their later years.
Okay. Why can't people on welfare buy alcohol or tobacco?
I think people on welfare shouldn't be allowed to buy alcohol or tobacco because welfare is for the necessities in life since they're receiving assistance from the government, and they shouldn't be wasting the money they get for the necessities on pointless things like alcohol or tobacco.
Okay. You say that anyone on welfare not looking for a job will be taken off welfare, but how will you know if they're looking for jobs or not?
When they apply for a job, they'd have to submit a form of their resume to whoever they go to for their welfare when they submit it, and if they don't submit their applications, and they'll be taken off welfare because will know they're not looking for a job.
Okay. Why are drug tests needed for people on welfare?
Drug tests are needed for people on welfare so we know that they're not using the money that the government gives them so that they can live their daily lives for things like drugs that are illegal.
Okay. Won't it cost a lot of money to pay for driver's ed? Where would this money be coming from?
The money would be coming from all the other cuts in the budget we've made, like abolishing the Senate.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us today.
No problem.
Is a high number of 16-year-olds. Secondly, not very many 16-year-olds pay a lot of attention to the government, so it'd just be as good to have a 3-year-old vote. Lastly, more 16-year-olds follow their peers, so one male or female could choose to vote for a certain person and then have their friends follow their choice. These are just a couple effective reasons why voting age should be 18 years.
Grade 10 and 11. Most of them don't even know the names of every party we have in Canada. Why would you want our country's representatives to be determined by kids who are going to be heavily influenced by their parents who may or may not even know what's going on in the government? Voters should have a personal opinion and be knowledgeable of the issues. Do you know any kids besides Andrew Sykes who actually care about politics? Just because you're lowering the voting age does not mean you're giving these kids any more incentive to go out and actually learn about the government. You're just putting uncaring teens in a voting box to make a decision that could change our country for up to 5 years. That doesn't make very much sense. Why should we give younger people the right to vote when people aged 30 and under don't even vote now? In 2008, if people under the age of 30 had voted at the same rate as those over 30, there would have been 7 million more votes cast. Also, in 2008, fewer than half of the registered 18
Like, you think that people 16 are going to vote. You can't force them to vote, and they don't even know what's going on, so how they feel that they're making a good decision or how they feel that they should vote because they don't even know what's going on. They don't know what they're voting
fact
for.
that nobody under the age of 18 knows what's going on in the politics.
I'm not saying that they don't know anything, but they're not that well informed by the age of 16.
What grade are you in grade 10?
What age are you?
14.
So 14 and 15-year-olds are here. You guys are all about to turn 16, many of you. And
No,
you're
I'm
taking a forced course on what is government and how does it work. You wouldn't think at the end of this course you know more about government than you did coming in?
Oh, yeah. I think so. Why am I agreeing with you?
People are interested now, like they're younger people, so like how many students do you think would vote anyway? Because yeah, we'll know a little bit more at the end of the course, but I don't think we'll know enough.
Why wouldn't you use the efforts that you're trying to use to get these 16-year-olds to vote, to try and get the 18-year-olds out that had less than 50% of people vote last year, or in 2008? Why wouldn't you use your efforts to try and get them out to vote and try and campaign to try and get more people, more of the younger kids that are already eligible to vote, out to vote now?
They just follow their peers. Yeah, we'll go down. We'll just follow their peers.
I know that.
No, look at in everyday life. Someone wants to go get a juice box, another kid wants to get a juice box.
Okay.
That's a valid
I'll
point.
close the cross debate today. Round of applause. Welfare reform.
I know that in some cases, getting extra financial help is needed and should be provided by the government. But I also know that this privilege is being abused. If I become Prime Minister, Canadians' tax money will no longer be used to pay for the lives of the lazy. One of the first things I will do as Prime Minister is reform the welfare program. The only way a person can get welfare now will be if they are actually trying to look for a job and making attempts at applying to these jobs. I realize that businesses aren't always hiring and there may not always be jobs available for people to get, but as long as they are looking, then welfare will be provided. Many of you will ask, well, how will you know if they're looking? Welfare users will now be monitored 4 times a year, once every 3 months. They should be able to enjoy what they have earned and not have to give their money over to people who just don't want to work. The welfare checkups will be at the same place where you can apply for welfare, and the drug test will be held at the local hospitals. And if these appointments are not gone to, the welfare will be terminated unless it has been rescheduled in a reasonable time span. Welfare users' claims will also be evaluated closer to make sure they aren't making more money than accepted as a welfare user. I suspect that at least 25% of current welfare users will be taken off of welfare under these terms and conditions. I think a majority of Canadians are well-rounded people, but it's time to actually make Canada equal, including the workforce.
It isn't terrible, but wouldn't it be extremely costly to keep track of every single person on welfare and what they are spending their money on? Doctors would be all very busy to check every person on welfare for a drug test, because like you said, every 3 months or so, that could mean anything, because they can't do it all at once. So wouldn't it be hard for people without welfare to get drug tests, appointments and such? What would happen to people who have a drug problem and need professional help and need welfare to support them while getting help? Wouldn't they be busy giving more, paying more attention to the people on welfare than paying attention to the rest of the government? How do you know they aren't looking for a job? They could apply at many places and not work their jobs. They could just keep using welfare and keep claiming that they are trying to look for a job. They can't do every person on a certain date too, so it'd have to be all spread out. Yeah, like I said, that'd be the point.
The welfare program approached the same way for years, until one woman decided to attempt to change it. Unfortunately for Lisa, this attempt is a failure. If you are going to give welfare to the safer looking for a job, or they could even apply for one, and just give an awful application and or brutal interview ensuring they didn't get the job, but still got the welfare. Also, what is considered a disability? There are many disabilities that could still work with, they could still work with, but claim they can't. What if someone just can't comprehend how to do the simplest of jobs and gives up on finding one, but is deemed to be not disabled? Under your law, they would receive no welfare and have nothing to support themselves and their family. Is everyone going to get the same welfare checks that qualifies for them? The disabled will require higher pay, as they may need to pay for physio or psychiatric therapy for themselves. In finishing, you have no way of determining whether someone is legitimately looking for a job or not, and you are discriminating against dumb people. Do you really want someone who hates dumb people as your Prime Minister? I'll let you decide.
Pee in a cup and then you send it in.
There's just gonna be so many people trying to get appointments, and there's gonna be so many people going in every
The
day.
appointments will be made. No, they don't have to make the appointments. The appointments will be made in a scattered way, so there will be enough.
It'll be once every 3 months, so the same people will be going in all the
For a
time.
drug
So you're
test
gonna
once every 3 months, I
Yeah.
thought marijuana stays in your body for 60 days, so therefore it can be out of your body by the time you go in for your drug test.
But I said surprise drug test. You won't know.
Great.
Oh,
Yeah.
What is it? I thought you said every 3 months they have to go in for drug tests, not
Yeah.
That's
they're
what
gonna
Grace
know.
said.
They're gonna know
And
that they go in
once,
3 months.
once in that time, it could be at the end of the 3 months and the next one could be at the beginning. If they pass their one at the end of the month and then they like,
How are you gonna
party
keep-
with marijuana.
If it's a
Then I gotta-
surprise, what
Yeah, it's
if
not
it's
gonna
big?
be able to, if you go to the end on their own, because they can't afford to.
Well, that's what welfare is for, to pay for necessities like a vehicle. If they live far away, then they're not even gonna be able to look for a job, so why would they live far away? And most people
Do
on
you think
welfare.
welfare people should actually be able to afford a car and gas?
No, they shouldn't be able to.
Just throwing that out.
Just get
So
up
how are
and
they
go to
even,
your car
you're gonna
and
be
go
paying them a
to
lot more, you're gonna be paying them a lot more money to be able to afford a car and gas and
Well, that's
stuff to
their
get
choice
places.
on what they wanna spend
We-
their
we could
money on,
put
what
money
necessities
towards
they
other things.
want to
A
spend their
car
money
isn't a
on.
necessity though. Food, shelter, and water are
Well,
necessities. So how can they
apparently,
get to the hospital for
If they
checkups?
live far away, then it is, because how are they gonna get in town? How are they gonna look for jobs? How are they gonna get to a job?
You
Okay,
can't
time's-
discriminate
time's
against people
up.
because they live further away than they live.
Time's up, because we have to keep going. Although I did want to throw out, are you gonna take the children away as people that have to cut off partners? What are you doing?
Why are they sending their welfare program, their application to the welfare program and not to the job, not the job?
Well, yeah, you send it to the job, but you also have to claim that as part of your welfare claim. And also, to grade in physio and psychiatric is paid by the government if told by the doctor. You can get any mental help free if it is referred to by the doctor. And also, Graydon brought up how much the checks will be, and the checks will be dependent on the size of the family, depending on if it's one person, or a couple and a baby, or if it is in disability needs. And I would just like to say that I never said these people are dumb. I just said some people don't like to
I
work.
thought marijuana stays in your body for 60 days, so therefore it can be out of your body by the time you go in for your drug test.
But I said surprise drug test. You won't know.
Oh,
But if it's, I thought you said every 3 months they have to go in for drug tests, not 3
Yeah.
months. They're gonna know,
That's
they're
what
gonna
Graydon
know
And
that they go in
once,
3 months.
once in that time, it could be at the end of the 3 months, and the next one could be at the beginning. If they pass their one at the end of the month, and then they
How are you gonna
party
keep-
with marijuana,
If it's a
Then I gotta-
surprise, what if
Yeah, it's not gonna
they're
be
big?
able, if you go to the end of the beginning, it's not gonna be 3 months, then the next one's gonna have to be,
Okay.
so you're gonna have more people coming in more often, there's gonna be more space in the hospitals.
Hey,
Okay, what about Keenan's idea of limiting what they can actually
My law is if someone's terminally ill, they should have the right to, if they're able, kill themselves. Well, yeah, kill themselves or be assisted with, if they're unable to do it themselves. Because since they're terminally ill, they're going to end up not here no more, and they're just going to suffer and pain through those however long it takes to finish them off. Yeah, I didn't write this one.
You didn't write it, that was your speech, okay.
Well, I didn't know we had to, but thank you, have a nice day.
It was on the board, remember, that was.
I don't know,
Man's life away from them. Who would want to, in a sense, murder somebody? How is it fair to say to a doctor, go in there and kill that guy? Obviously, it wouldn't be said like that, but that's the action you would be taking. I believe it is inhumane to force an innocent man to take another innocent man's life from him. I do think, though, that there should be a way to have assisted suicide without forcing the job upon a doctor or anyone for that matter. This job should be done using technology, as it is putting the ill patient in pain not doing so. I also feel that the patient's close family should be brought to a hospital to say their goodbyes to their loved ones, and this should be mandatory. This will help loved ones have closure and not have as much hurt as getting a phone call from the hospital explaining what happened. In closing, terminally ill patients should have the right to assisted suicide, but not done by a human being, and the family must be notified ahead of time to arrange to come in and have their final moments together.